Hey guys, Noel and Seraphina here for an exciting movie review for the movie review section of the Noel Comics YouTube channel. We recently reviewed the greatest movie of all time, Bloodsport, and we got some positive feedback on that. So today we are going to be reviewing Bloodsport 2, the next Kumite. So this is a few years after the original Bloodsport. Bloodsport came out in 1988. This movie came out in 1996. Now, to be fair, also on the channel, and I mentioned this movie a lot on the channel because I love it, there is an unofficial Japanese sequel to Bloodsport filmed in Hong Kong called Blood Fight, which had Bolo Yang reprising his role as Chong Li. Now, sometimes in that movie, he was called Chang Li, and then other times he was called Chong Li to kind of, I think, blur the lines of potential copyright issues. But I interpret that movie as an unofficial sequel to Bloodsport, kind of a spin off. That actually has to deal with an aging Kumite champion coming out of retirement. So it actually looks kind of similar to the Bloodsport Redux fan trailer, or Redux, I guess you could call it. But this is the official sequel to Bloodsport. Van Damme is not in this movie, but we get Daniel Bernhardt, who is, quite good. He's not quite the star that Van Damme is. Some might think of him as like kind of the bargain version of Van Damme. I think that's unfair because he's definitely put in place to be like Jean-Claude Van Damme, but I don't think he's like so much lesser than Van Damme that he should be derided. He's a very likable character. Maybe as a martial artist, he might be a little more technically sound than Van Damme, but in terms of the beauty of his moves, Van Damme, I think, has got him because Van Damme's got the ballet gymnastics background. So his moves really lend itself to that movie spectacle, whereas Daniel Bernhardt he can throw some really nice looking punches and kicks. Now, what the heck is going on in Bloodsport 2, the next Kumite? So this is a sequel to the Van Damme Bloodsport, and it carries with it a lot of the same tropes of the Van Damme Bloodsport. Namely, there's a Kumite, there's a katana sword, there is a colorful cast of characters. There's Ray Jackson. So that's probably my favorite part of this movie is that Donald Gibb reprises his role as Ray Jackson, and he has a pretty significant part in the movie. So this isn't just like, oh, someone from the original cast, they twisted their arm to do a 5-second cameo. No, I would say that Jackson's role in this movie is as big, if not maybe slightly bigger maybe about as big. It might be slightly bigger. I don't know. It's about the same significance as it was in the original Bloodsport. So if you were a fan of Ray Jackson, you're going to get some Jackson in this movie, which I was totally cool with. So, whereas the original Bloodsport had Frank Dukes starting out as a kind of goofy young immigrant kid who started training with Senzo Tanaka and became this like great martial arts master and joined the military and ran away from the military to go compete in this fighting tournament to honor his master. What we have here is we have some other martial arts movie tropes kind of blending with the Bloodsport movie trope. Basically, we have Alex Cordeaux, who is not like Frank Dukes in the sense that Dukes was like always a great guy in Bloodsport. In Bloodsport 2, Alex, he starts out as not that great a guy. He's a thief, he's a martial artist, he's a con man, he's chatting up this pretty lady right here. He steals a katana sword from, Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi, or Arnold from Happy Days, so that's also super cool. But then his friend double crosses him, right? And he ends up in jail. And he kind of starts like brawling his way through the jail and starts getting beaten up. And he meets this like really cool old Chinese guy in the jail. And that old Chinese guy kind of takes him under his wing and helps him be a better person. And then we start getting the Bloodsport trope of, I want to honor my teacher by accomplishing something important. And so we get kind of a character arc for Alex, whereas like Frank Dukes was a static character, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because Frank Dukes was like the perfect movie protagonist if you want a cool static movie character. But Alex is kind of he's dynamic, right? He starts out kind of like as an anti-hero, and then by the end of the movie becomes a hero. And then along the way, he ends up learning about the Kumite in prison. He ends up getting his freedom bought, and then the reason he wants to enter the Kumite is because this bad prison guard, who's named Demon. It's not very creative, but it gets the job done. He's in the Kumite, and his teacher, Alex's teacher in prison, is like, listen, man, you can't let Demon win the Kumite. He's not good people. You're a good guy. You gotta keep honoring the tournament. So he goes, and the coolest thing about this movie, in my opinion, Bloodsport. The first Bloodsport's like the best. Okay, but this one's not bad at all. In the first Bloodsport, there was this cool guy named Vic, right? Cool, kind of nerdy Asian guy. He was a cool guy, funny guy, comic relief character. He was the fight handler, and he handled Jackson and Dukes. Well, as time has passed, now Jackson is the fight handler, and he ends up being Alex's fight handler, and he kind of blends the role of Jackson and Vic in this movie. And what's also fun, and I'm going to say this right here, it's kind of a compare and a contrast with this movie and the previous Bloodsport. The fighters in the first Bloodsport were much more iconic. None of them said lines, and they all had a ton of personality. They were oozing with screen presence. From the African guy who jumped around like a frog, to Paco, the Mexican kickboxer, to, what was it, Paluma, the sumo. It was like, none of them said anything, and they all, like, totally stole the show when they were on camera, okay? The fighters in this movie are very competent and cool, but they don't really stand out like the fighters in, the first Bloodsport. However, there is a girl fighter, so we do get some kind of a comedic romance with Jackson as he's trying to woo this girl fighter. And there's actually a really cool part in the movie where so if you saw the first Bloodsport, there's a part where like Jackson fights Chong Li, and he's winning against Chong Li, and then he gets all excited and starts celebrating, and then Chong Li gets up and kicks him in the throat and like stomps his head, and Dukes like runs in the ring to try to save him. So there's a scene in this movie where the girl fighter that Jackson likes is fighting Demon, this movie's version of Chong Li, this like evil kind of Schwarzenegger-esque Asian prison guard. And he looks like he's gonna like really mess up this girl, and then like Jackson like runs in the ring, so he's now in the Van Damme spot trying to save the person he cares about, and it's a cool scene because it's very similar structurally to the scene where Jackson got saved, but now Jackson's the one trying to do the saving. But this version of it's got a little more comic relief to it because the girl's like, "Wow, you took a shot for me," and that's how she kind of like wins her over. But yeah, Jackson's got a lot of cool scenes in the movie. He's like beating people up. He's being funny. So if you're a fan of Donald Gibb, he gets some definite screen time in this movie. So that is a really nice connection with the original Bloodsport. And also really nice character development for Jackson, because I could totally see him, as a Kumite fighter developing into a fight handler. The antagonist of this movie definitely does not have the screen presence of Bolo Yang, but again, he gets the job done. He's a big, intimidating, mean guy. I've heard some people say that, Bloodsport 2, it's like, oh, this is like bargain bin material, man. Well, that may be, but I'll tell you right now, I got a bunch of like martial arts DVDs that I got from the bargain bin at Eckerd's Drugs and Rite Aid's drugstore, and they're some of my favorite movies. So bargain bin material is not, should not be a derivative term, because there's a lot of awesome bargain bin movies that I'll watch a million times a day over, a lot of the crap that gets lauded by, so-called culture critics on NPR or something like that. So where would I rank Bloodsport 2 on a scale of 1 to 10? I would give this movie a solid 30. Right, it's a very, very good movie, right? It's not the infinity out of 10 that Bloodsport is. It's not. I like Blood Fight a bit better, but this is definitely a really good movie. It carries a lot of the same tropes as Bloodsport, but adds some extra elements. Fighters are very competent. There's some very good martial arts action in the movie, but it's not quite as iconic and spectacle-oriented as the original Bloodsport. So not quite as memorable, but a very solid, fun sequel, which stars a new main character, Daniel Bernhardt, who isn't quite, he's not quite Van Damme, but he's good. He's a likable guy. He's a cool main character, and I would love to see them do a Bloodsport with Van Damme, with Frank Dukes and Alex in the same movie. That would be fantastic, especially now that Van Damme is doing more direct-to-video stuff. So he's kind of like back down on this level. So that would be fantastic, you know. But yeah, so I highly recommend Bloodsport 2. It's a great movie. You know, I've been home taking care of a sick baby and nursing a tooth that I'm going to get pulled later today. And really what me and Seraphina have been doing, we've pretty much just been watching Bloodsport 2 most of the time. So it's definitely good watching. Not quite as good as the original, but quality stuff. So until next time, guys, I'm Noel and this is Seraphina. And we will see you in the very near future for more YouTube fun and movie reviews. Bye-bye.
Oh, my, will you get a look at that?
Who's she?
Kim Campbell. That's the first woman they ever invited to the Kumite. Isn't she something?
She'll eat you alive.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh, yeah. Hi, you beautiful. Rumor has it that you want to go out to dinner with me tonight.
Well, let me put a stop to that rumor right now. Because I go to dinner when I want, with whom I want. I'm sure you know where to stick it. But if you don't, I can stick it there for you.
So, the thing is that you're busy tonight, huh? What time should I pick you up for dinner tonight? 7 or 7:30?
How about not?
Man, are you okay?
Oh, I feel really horrible.
Tiny, you did that for me? Took a shot of demon for me?
Yeah, I guess I did.
What an idiot. Hey, Tiny, what's your real name anyways?
It's Raymond.
Rain.
The Kumite, fought by the world's most awesome fighters. The prize, a ceremonial sword. A sword that one man will steal.
Stealing from James Leon is suicide.
Don't tell me my business.
Now, sentenced to life in hell.
Why are you in this prison?
The sword had a value beyond riches. It was to have been awarded to the greatest fighter on earth.
His soul is rescued.
If you wish to learn the Iron Hand,
The ultimate lesson
I will show you.
is about to begin.
Force is not the answer. It will break inside of you. Spirit is inside. It will never break. It is
is not about winning. It is about finding oneself.
Because what he has stolen is a chance.
What do you think all this is going to cost me to have the sword returned?
$1 million American.
It's your price for your freedom.
The prison that holds him is a path.
It is a spiritual event.
The Kumite.
And the challenge that faces him is a war. You and me, and soon, just me.
His arms are like cement.
The world's greatest martial arts masters are facing the ultimate challenge. Bloodsport 2, the next Kumite.